And this is probably, I don't know, this may be his most impressive throw of his Titans career, because last week he was struggling with accuracy, struggling with really putting touch on the ball, struggling with zip and velocity. And here he comes down and he takes 2 tremendous deep shots. But this is what the offense is wanting to be. It's not wanting to be the offense that we have seen under Ryan Tannehill. It's wanting to be something different. It's wanting to take deep shots out of heavy formations
on first down.
Important on first down. It's just so important that everybody understands, because it started off bad and everybody's like, well, Tim Kelly this, Tim Kelly that, same old offense. I don't know how many ways I could put it out on the internet, on podcasts, on these videos. They are entirely different offenses. And if you cannot visibly see that, I don't know how to help you, because it's just so visibly different.
Yeah.
Execution has been the problem, not the play calls. Typically, it's been, for the last 2 years, play calls are the problem. Execution is not. Well, unless you didn't play
it. So Alan says AJ sliding catch sideline throw is still the best to me. That's a good one. There's a couple against the.
But I was referencing.
The first one that I remember when you say that is actually the Niners throws. Like he had a couple of to AJ that were way down the field, like outside back shoulder, corner of the end zone kind of throws, and for some reason those stand out to me. I think what's interesting, I completely agree. I don't think there's an argument to be made that the offense isn't completely different, but I think to your point about how it changed, and I think let's see here, Zach said this. It felt like that play to Treylon won the game because it jump started the offense. Yeah, they had 0 total yards gained in 3 total drives before that play. They go 75 yards, touchdown. The very next drive, 60 yards, 9 plays, touchdown. They come back in the second half, 9 plays, 75 yards, touchdown. They go bang, 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 score, score, score. So clearly it changed. I think Ryan Tannehill desperately needed the confidence. The crowd was basically about to quit on this team. And the offense sort of, Tim Kelly sensed all of that and made the right call at the right time. They then stagnated again to some degree, but it was already a game at that point. So it was sort of back into the flow. The Chargers made adjustments. They went, a couple of 3-and-outs. They had an 8-play drive that was only 24 yards. I think there was a bad negative play in there. Punt, punt, punt. And what does he do after 3 punts, 3 bad drives, some stagnant offense? On the very first play on first down, he takes a shot down the field, 49 yards to Chris Moore, who, by the way, is averaging 49 yards per catch in his Titans career. But I think the timing of it, the way they were both designed, I think knowing when to do it, I think sensing that his offense needs a kickstart. Like there's so much that goes into play calling. It's not just the design and the execution. There's also a feel to it, right? What's the defense giving you? And I thought Tim Kelly's ability to sort of read the game, read his team, know when he needed to take the shots. I thought, the touchdown calls, the plays in the red zone were much better this week. They were 3 of 4 in the red zone last week, 0 of 3. They were better on third downs this week, 6 out of 13. Terrible last week, 2 out of 12. And obviously Tannehill, 20 of 24 is very efficient throwing the football. So I just thought the whole thing, and we'll get into some of the stars because the stars needed to be big name players on both sides of the ball. But Henry, Spears, Burks, Chig, they all
D-Hop had some critical moments too.
Yes,
I mean, it wasn't like D-Hop was the focal point of the offense. And this leads me into something that I kind of came around to this morning. As I'm writing the article for stackingtheinbox.com 24 hours later, Titans victory over the Chargers. It's out right now for those paid subscribers. The offense is visibly different, even from Arthur Smith. It feels entirely different. The way that they are structurally attacking, the way that they are using different players, and all that kind of stuff. It all is different. But to me, one of the things that makes this the most different, and I think this makes Tim Kelly the most different coach on the staff, a differing point of view, is that he stood in front of the media on Thursday, and he took loads and loads of that favorite word that all fans want to use, accountability. He talked about how he needed to get the ball into his playmakers' hands, and he even said he was guilty of not using Henry enough. And here's what makes him different. He literally turned around and did both of those things. The things that everybody complained about in week 1, he said, I'm with you. I messed up, turned around and fixed it. How often do we hear, got to coach better, play better? Or we hear, Well, we have to find ways to do blank, insert offensive woe here. Like, we have to find ways to help Dennis Daly out. It's not all Dennis Daly. And here's a coach that stood up in front of everybody and said, hey, listen, I could have done a little bit better. I'm going to do better. Don't worry about it. And he took Derrick Henry's usage from 15 attempts to 25 attempts, from 48% snaps to 71% snaps. He took Burks from 8.8% target share to 16.7% target share. Chig to 5.9% target share to 16.7% target share. In a day where there's 24 pass attempts, that's pretty good, considering that there's D-Hop, Tajay Spears, Chris Moore, Nick Westbrook-Kine all on the field, and including Derrick Henry. He did what you were supposed to do. And there's still some fine-tuning. Like, this isn't the finished product by any means. It only gets better as time goes on and everybody, including the offensive line, gets more comfortable. But, like, it's so refreshing to see a coach actually stand in front of the media, take all the questions, take accountability, and then literally go fix it himself.
Yeah, Alan says Nissan Stadium was a morgue until that Treylon catch. I completely agree. Everything was just very relaxed. Like I said, it was a relaxed press box. It didn't feel like the Giants. It felt like a West Coast matchup. It was just, the day was kind of nice out, but it wasn't like too hot. It was just fans were just kind of relaxed. Like, it was, you couldn't even tell the difference between which fans they were, because it was like 4 different shades of light blue in the stadium, like everywhere. You couldn't really even tell. It was just kind of a chill moment until that play happened. And I think I started tracking it like starting on that throw. And I think obviously some of this is Ryan Tannehill was significantly better. He was at one chunk of time during those 3 drives where he scored. I want to say he was like 10 of 12 for like 140 yards. And like the next pass was like a drop by like Trayvon Wesco or something. Like, it was, like, it wasn't even his fault that the hot streak sort of slowed down. I will say Derrick Henry, 28 touches. Tajay Spears, 10 touches. That's sort of more what we think it should be, the offense there. 46 snaps for Derrick Henry, 24 for Tajay Spears, 2-1. That feels about right. And when I'm looking at those numbers, Henry was actually more efficient on a per-touch basis last week against the Saints by a pretty large margin. But what I think is interesting is, I think when I watched the 2 players used on Sunday against the Chargers, I felt like it's the thing that Titans organization has been looking for like 5 years.
Mm.
And it was like, this is why they drafted Darrington Evans. This is why they drafted Hassan Haskins. This is why they drafted Tajay Spears. And you kind of saw it for the first time. Like, over 5 yards a carry, basically, for Tajay, about 5 yards a carry for Tajay Spears. A couple of really critical plays in critical situations on some third downs in the second half.
Did you go to the press conference, or at least watch it today?
You're talking about Vrabel, or are you talking about? I was not able to get over there. No.
Oh my God. You got to find the clip, and I know Paul Kaharski has it, but he is absolutely gushing in his pants over Tajay Spears, and said that if he got better blocking, then he would already have a 50-yard run here and there. He does even sound effects for what Tajay Spears could do. Like, it's amazing. It's when we talk about it every so often, Vrabel just like
can't hit him.
Every so often, Vrabel just lights up when talking about a player, and that is Tajay Spears right now. And he's not lighting up; he's getting stiff and rock hard as well.
Let me ask you by the way, Pretty Boy Lipschitz, 7 yards per carry. He had 10 touches for 55 yards from scrimmage. That's where I was getting the 5.5. That's what I wrote down here. It's all a part of a long list. A couple of critical third downs for DeAndre Hopkins, clearly not the focal point of the offense. Henry with almost, I think 28 touches for 95 total yards. Like, you probably want a little bit more per touch, and you could probably reduce his touches a little bit. But again, I think basically a perfect balance of what you were looking for in a combination of tailbacks. And Spears is just, you can't tackle him on the first hit. Like, the jitteriness, the back and forth, the side to side, the quick bursts. Like, you just can't. Yeah, exactly. He's very slippery. So I think
he's got a wooden leg on top of all that. It's all with a wooden leg.
Hard to run with a peg. And then to your point, all those percentages you kind of rattled off. Treylon Burks makes obviously the 70-yard pass. 62 yards of that, by the way, came in the air. Chris Moore's only catch was a 50-yard X play. Chig was 4 of 4 in receptions and targets. Like, you just kind of go down the list, even on defense, and we can get to that in a second. But Kevin Byard with 12 tackles, Simmons with a couple of hits and a sack. You got Harold Landry with a critical sack in a critical situation. I mean, Danico Autry starts the game off with a big hit. Like you could just the big names needed to come up big. And Mike Vrabel did say something after the game that struck me. He said basically he was asked like, what did you learn about your team? And it's like basically that we could take a punch and that we can make a big play when we need to.